There are skills the world celebrates loudly: charisma, leadership, speed, brilliance, beauty. And then there are the quiet ones, the ignored ones, the invisible threads that hold every great life together. We don't notice them at first because they make no noise, draw no attention, and rarely win applause. But they are the reason some people rise slowly yet steadily, while others burn brightly and vanish. These ignored skills are not glamorous, they are simple, patient, and humble. They exist in the small habits we practice when no one is watching, in the restraint we show when we could have reacted, in the curiosity we keep alive when the world says, "You already know enough." Imagine for a moment the sculptor, standing before a raw block of stone. The world only praises the finished statue, but the sculptor's genius lies in something smaller: his ability to see what others overlook. His patience in carving 1,000 invisible strokes, his willingness to pause, to correct, to repeat, to start over, those are ignored skills. Every beautiful thing is built on uncelebrated repetition. Every calm soul is built on unnoticed restraint. Every wise person has spent years mastering tiny things no one thought mattered. Think of a musician who trains in a dark room long before anyone hears her name. She learns how to breathe between notes, how to listen more than she plays, how to feel silence as deeply as sound. None of this is glamorous. None of it trends online. But one day, that same musician steps on stage and moves hearts, not because of luck, but because of the invisible practice of ignored skills. We live in an age that celebrates visibility, but progress happens in invisibility. Everyone wants recognition, but few want refinement. Everyone wants to shine, but few are willing to sharpen. The irony of success is that the quieter your discipline, the louder your results will speak. When you watch a graceful dancer, remember that grace is born from endless repetition of awkward movements. When you admire a speaker who seems effortlessly confident, remember that confidence is not a gift, it's a muscle built from the ignored skill of preparation. When you meet someone who listens deeply, remember that listening is not passive, it's one of the hardest arts to master. The world doesn't teach us to listen, it teaches us to reply. Yet every strong relationship, every successful negotiation, every healed heart begins with someone who learned to listen before they spoke. Listening, an ignored skill, but one that transforms everything it touches. We often chase big changes, but the truth is, big changes are built on microscopic improvements. The pilot who lands safely every time isn't just brave, he's meticulous. The doctor who saves lives daily isn't just knowledgeable, she's patient. The athlete who wins isn't just talented, he's disciplined in 1,000 invisible ways. Behind every great life lies a list of ignored skills that nobody posts about: showing up on time, keeping promises, organizing details, staying calm under stress, admitting mistakes, learning quietly. These skills don't sparkle, but they sustain. They are the roots beneath every tall tree. You might feel unseen right now. You might feel like your efforts are small, unrecognized, or ignored. But remember, everything big starts small, and everything visible begins invisible. What you are practicing in silence today will become the sound of your success tomorrow. Keep sharpening the skills others ignore: patience, focus, humility, empathy, perseverance. When the world is distracted, stay devoted. When the crowd looks for shortcuts, keep building your foundations. Because ignored skills are not truly ignored by the universe. They are noticed by time. And time always rewards those who prepare when no one is watching. Life will often test your belief in quiet progress. You'll see others succeed faster, louder, seemingly without effort. But don't be fooled. You cannot compare your journey of depth with someone else's surface. The world is full of noise, but mastery is born in silence. When you feel like nothing is happening, that's when growth is happening most. The seed buried in the soil is not dead, it's preparing to rise. The same is true for your skills. Every repetition, every failure, every invisible effort, it all counts. The world might not clap for you yet, but one day it will wonder how you became so natural, so calm, so capable. The answer will always be the same: you practiced the ignored skills. And so the truth unfolds quietly. The skills that no one notices are the ones that quietly shape your destiny. Patience, observation, emotional control, listening, time management, empathy, none of these draw applause, but they write the script of your life. Think about how many doors stay closed because someone never learned the art of waiting, or how many opportunities vanish because someone couldn't manage their temper, or how many friendships fade because no one listened long enough to understand. The world keeps telling us to stand out, but wisdom whispers, first learn to stand still. Every skill that looks ordinary is actually extraordinary when practiced deeply. Take, for instance, the ignored skill of consistency. Everyone wants transformation, few want repetition. We start a routine with excitement, but when it gets dull, we quit. Yet success hides inside dullness. It's the same coffee poured every morning before the pages get written, the same early run when the body wants to sleep, the same hour of practice after work when no one will ever see. Consistency is not glamour, it is grit. It's the decision to show up when the feeling to show up is gone. The great pianist doesn't love scales, she respects them. The athlete doesn't love training every dawn, he honors it. The entrepreneur doesn't love rejection, she learns from it. The ignored skill of consistency builds miracles brick by brick while impatience ruins castles overnight. Now, think of communication. People assume it's about talking, but communication begins with clarity. The most persuasive people aren't loud, they're understood. They learn to organize thoughts before releasing words. That's an ignored skill. Clear thinking is communication's hidden muscle. You can only say something simply when you truly understand it. That's why deep readers often become powerful speakers. They've trained the unseen skill of comprehension. Then there's emotional discipline, another invisible art. To remain calm when insulted, to respond with kindness when provoked, to breathe instead of react, that's mastery. People call it maturity, but it's actually a skill built through small acts of restraint. Every time you pause before replying, you are training strength. Every time you choose patience instead of panic, you are polishing control. The world applauds aggression, but quietly bows to composure. Kings, leaders, healers, all carried this power. Emotional discipline turns chaos into clarity. It's the most ignored yet most needed skill in the modern world. And yet, perhaps the most forgotten skill of all is focus. The ability to keep your mind on one thing while the world screams for your attention. We live in an age of noise, where distraction wears the mask of opportunity. But greatness has always belonged to the focused. To sit with a single idea until it becomes real, that is an act of courage now. People say focus is about time management, but it's really about energy protection. Every notification, every random scroll steals a piece of your mind. Focused people aren't superhuman, they're selective. They know that what grows is what you give attention to. So they invest attention like currency, not confetti. All these ignored skills, patience, consistency, communication, emotional discipline, focus, they don't create overnight success, but they create lasting success. The kind that doesn't depend on applause. The kind that doesn't vanish when trends change. They turn you from fragile to formidable. They make you the kind of person who can adapt to any storm because your power comes from within. And when people finally notice you, they call it talent, but you'll know it was practice. Let's talk about the ignored skill of humility. True humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less often. It's the quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove, post, or perform. Humility listens. It learns. It keeps growing. While arrogance locks doors, humility opens them. The humble person never stops improving, and that's why life keeps rewarding them. Humility is what keeps the great grounded, the wise teachable, and the strong gentle. It's an invisible skill, but it builds unshakable character. Finally, consider self-awareness, the root of all ignored skills. To know what triggers you, to see your patterns, to admit when you are wrong, that's not easy. But self-awareness turns mistakes into lessons and pain into wisdom. Without it, every other skill collapses. With it, every flaw becomes fixable. Most people fear facing themselves, but those who do find peace that cannot be stolen. Remember this, listener, life will not reward you for what you pretend to be, it will reward you for what you quietly build when no one is clapping. Keep building the ignored skills, because they are the bones of greatness. One day, when success finally calls your name, you'll realize it wasn't luck. It was the sum of every small, unseen choice you made while the world wasn't looking. And yet, beneath all these silent strengths, there lies a greater truth, that the ignored skills are not only tools to succeed but mirrors that shape your very being. They teach you who you are when the world is silent. When no one is watching, your ignored skills whisper your character. Think about discipline, that quiet ritual of doing what must be done even when no one will know. Discipline is not punishment, it is devotion. It's the unseen agreement you make with your future self, I will not abandon you. Every small act of discipline, waking early, finishing what you start, keeping promises, stitches together a stronger version of you. It doesn't happen in a day, but one stitch at a time, you become a tapestry of reliability. People start to trust you because they feel your steadiness. You become the kind of person whose word has weight, and that's a power no diploma can give. But the modern world rarely celebrates discipline. It celebrates urgency, instant success, and overnight fame. It glorifies shortcuts, even though shortcuts always cut character. The ignored skill of discipline is the art of endurance in an impatient era. The art of doing what's right, not what's easy. It's a lonely practice, but it's also the birthplace of every legend. Every author who wrote a masterpiece faced blank pages they didn't want to face. Every athlete who broke records faced mornings they didn't want to rise. Every visionary who built something eternal faced doubts they didn't want to fight. The only difference was, they didn't quit. They practiced the ignored skill of keeping going. Then there is curiosity, another quiet superpower the world underestimates. Everyone wants answers, but few are willing to ask questions deeply enough to deserve them. Curiosity makes you a lifelong learner. It keeps your mind young, flexible, and hungry. When you stop being curious, you start dying slowly. The curious don't chase information, they chase understanding. They ask, why, when others say, whatever. They study people, patterns, systems, feelings. And eventually, their curiosity connects dots no one else saw. That's how innovation is born, not from pressure, but from play. The curious treat learning as joy, not duty. They don't wait for permission to explore. And that freedom to keep asking, to keep searching, is one of the most powerful yet ignored skills you can ever develop. Let's talk about adaptability, the ability to change your rhythm without losing your melody. The world shifts constantly, industries rise and fall, trends come and go, people evolve. But those who master adaptability don't fear change, they ride it. Adaptability is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that survival is not about strength alone, but flexibility. The bamboo bends in storms while the oak breaks. Adaptable people don't cling to how it used to be. They ask, what can this become now? They rebuild, relearn, and restart without resentment. And that makes them unstoppable. In a world obsessed with control, adaptability is the ultimate freedom, the power to stay at peace inside chaos. The ignored skill of gratitude may seem too soft to matter, but gratitude is mental armor. It protects your perspective. A grateful person doesn't ignore pain, they find meaning in it. Gratitude turns scarcity into sufficiency. It turns comparison into contentment. It teaches you to see what's already good before chasing what's missing. And in that peace, you perform better, love deeper, think clearer. Gratitude is not passive optimism, it's active awareness. It's training your mind to focus on what nourishes instead of what drains. The world calls it positivity, but it's actually intelligence, because your energy flows where your attention goes. And there's observation, another ignored masterpiece of human skill. To notice details, to read between words, to see emotion behind expression, observation builds empathy and precision. Artists observe the world differently, that's why they see beauty where others see boredom. Leaders observe behavior, that's why they understand what motivates people. Lovers observe silence, that's why they connect beyond words. Observation slows you down, but in slowing down, it gives you clarity. You begin to understand that life has texture, that every moment, if looked at deeply enough, holds a message. Now let's dive deeper into silence itself. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. To sit quietly with yourself is to meet your own mind. And many people fear that meeting. They escape into sound, screens, or crowds because silence exposes truth. But silence also heals. It sharpens awareness. It becomes the soil where intuition grows. Most breakthroughs are born from silence, not speed. Meditation, reflection, long walks without a phone, these are not luxuries, they are necessities for a clear mind. Silence is an ignored skill that rebalances your soul. But none of these ignored skills bloom without one essential element, self-respect. To believe your effort matters even when no one praises it. To protect your energy from those who drain it. To walk away from chaos instead of begging to stay in it. That's not ego, that's evolution. Self-respect means honoring your boundaries, your time, your peace. It's understanding that being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone. When you develop self-respect, you no longer need validation, and when you stop needing validation, your energy becomes magnetic. These ignored skills don't make you loud, they make you luminous. They don't make you famous, they make you free. And in that freedom, you start living on your own terms, not to impress, but to express. You become peaceful, yet powerful. Still, yet unstoppable. And as you grow, you begin to notice something. The people who once ignored you begin to notice your calm. The world that once doubted you begins to seek your guidance. Because when you master the ignored skills, you don't chase success, you attract it. And as you continue, you begin to see a pattern. The people who shine brightest are not those who seek attention, but those who have cultivated their ignored skills over time. Every great mind, every extraordinary human being, carries a toolkit of quiet habits, invisible disciplines, and subtle strengths that no one applauds until the world finally notices. Consider resilience, the skill of standing up after repeated setbacks, of continuing when hope feels distant, when the world tells you to give up. Resilience is not dramatic, it's invisible. It's waking up each day and choosing to try again, even when yesterday's failures whisper doubts into your mind. And those whispers are loud, yet you remain. That is the power of ignored skills. They teach you to endure when endurance is lonely, to grow when growth feels pointless, and to rise when the horizon seems unreachable. Another often overlooked skill is observation of failure, which most people avoid. Failure is loud, painful, embarrassing, and yet it carries lessons that no book, teacher, or mentor can fully convey. The person who masters the ignored skill of learning from failure watches, absorbs, adapts, and iterates. They notice patterns in what went wrong, habits that lead to defeat, and the subtle choices that could have changed the outcome. This skill transforms failure from a stopping point into a stepping stone. People who overlook it stumble repeatedly, wasting time and energy in the same mistakes. Those who cultivate it quietly become unstoppable, because every failure is a lesson harvested into silent strength. Then there is strategic patience, a skill the impatient world often undervalues. While the crowd demands instant gratification, the master of ignored skills understands that timing is everything. They know when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen, when to push and when to hold back. Life rewards the patient because the patient align their actions with purpose, not impulse. They let opportunities ripen, challenges test them, and circumstances mature. The world may rush past them, unaware, but their quiet preparation ensures that when the moment arrives, they are ready, fully capable, fully equipped, and fully confident. We must also honor meticulousness, the attention to detail that no one notices. The person who sharpens their work until it is precise, who reviews, edits, and perfects silently, builds excellence invisibly. The final product may look effortless, but it is the sum of countless tiny corrections and refinements. This is true in art, in writing, in business, in relationships. The smallest unnoticed actions compound to create extraordinary outcomes. Ignored skills are accumulative. The more diligently you practice them in silence, the greater the power you carry into every aspect of life. Consider adaptability, which may seem ordinary but is in fact revolutionary. The world shifts constantly, economies, technologies, relationships, and circumstances evolve unpredictably. The unprepared panic. The flexible flourish. Adaptability allows you to flow with change without losing your center. It is the ability to adjust your methods without sacrificing your values, to bend without breaking, to transform setbacks into new opportunities. People mistake adaptability for compromise, but in reality, it is one of the strongest ignored skills because it allows you to thrive in chaos while others are overwhelmed. Then there is deep listening, an art almost forgotten in a world addicted to speaking, posting, and reacting. Deep listening is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and transformative. To truly listen is to understand context, emotion, intention, and nuance. It builds empathy, trust, and insight. Those who cultivate this skill silently navigate life with clarity and influence because they understand more than they are told. Relationships, negotiations, leadership, and even self-awareness are exponentially enhanced by this one quiet, ignored skill. Finally, all these ignored skills converge into something far greater than their sum: mastery over oneself. When patience, resilience, observation, meticulousness, adaptability, and deep listening combine, you become a person who is unshakable inside, no matter the storm outside. You stop reacting to noise, chaos, or criticism. You start responding with clarity, wisdom, and strength. And the beauty of ignored skills is that they are impervious to envy or imitation. The world may never fully understand the work you've done, but it cannot replicate the internal growth you have earned. And so, as you continue cultivating these invisible powers, you realize that life no longer controls you. The world can throw setbacks, criticism, or rejection, but your foundation remains unbroken. The quiet mastery of ignored skills gives you freedom, freedom to act without fear, freedom to speak without arrogance, freedom to live without external validation. Every skill ignored by others becomes a hidden edge, a secret weapon that distinguishes you from those who chase the visible, loud, and temporary. In the end, the world notices only what shines, but it is the hidden, ignored skills that create the brilliance. They teach you to endure when no one applauds, to grow when no one watches, and to succeed in ways that are permanent, unshakable, and deeply fulfilling. The quiet work becomes monumental in effect, and the person who masters these skills discovers that greatness is not loud, it is invisible, it is patient, it is deliberate, and it is theirs forever. And as you embrace these ignored skills fully, you begin to understand a profound truth. The world will never hand you success on a silver platter, nor will it announce your victories. Recognition is fleeting, applause is temporary, but mastery of yourself is eternal. Every silent habit, every small choice, every unobserved act of growth compounds over time, creating a foundation stronger than any external validation. You realize that the skill of perseverance transforms ordinary days into extraordinary decades, that the skill of patience allows you to weather storms that would break others, that the skill of reflection gives insight where impulsiveness sees only chaos, and that the skill of empathy creates relationships and trust that no charisma can replace. Life rewards those who practice when it is hard, who continue when it is lonely, who choose depth over flash, who cultivate the invisible over the celebrated. These ignored skills, once mastered, become the scaffolding upon which your entire life stands. And in mastering them, you become unshakable. No insult can pierce your calm, no setback can erode your resolve, no fear can immobilize your purpose. Every skill you quietly develop builds an inner fortress, and that fortress protects your creativity, your decisions, your vision, and your peace. You start to see that excellence is not a result of luck, talent, or opportunity, it is a result of the consistent, invisible practice of the ignored. You understand that the world's spotlight is temporary, but the skills you refine in silence are permanent. You begin to honor the small efforts, the early mornings, the late nights, the corrections, the repetitions, the patient listening, the thoughtful observation, the controlled breath, the restrained reaction, the subtle improvements that nobody else notices. These actions are not trivial, they are monumental. They are the quiet weapons of life, and the more you wield them, the more unstoppable you become. As your awareness grows, you notice that life begins to reward you in ways others cannot understand. Doors open where you weren't looking, opportunities arrive when preparation meets timing, people trust you because your character speaks louder than words, and challenges become opportunities because your internal foundation holds steady. The once ignored skills now define your life, your influence, and your destiny. They give you clarity, focus, emotional stability, and a calm confidence that radiates without effort. And in this realization, you see the ultimate secret. It is not talent, nor luck, nor visibility that creates lasting success. It is the quiet, consistent, patient, and deliberate cultivation of the skills the world overlooks. You understand that growth is not linear, recognition is not guaranteed, and applause is not necessary. What matters is the work you do when no one is watching, the refinement you practice when it is unnoticed, the resilience you maintain when it is uncelebrated. These are the invisible, ignored, yet infinitely powerful skills that shape lives, define character, and create extraordinary human beings. And as you take this wisdom into your own life, you promise yourself, I will nurture the unseen. I will practice the ignored. I will respect the small. I will master what others overlook. I will persist when it is lonely. I will remain patient when it is hard. I will cultivate focus, resilience, empathy, discipline, observation, reflection, adaptability, gratitude, and humility. And in doing so, I will rise, not because the world sees me, not because others validate me, but because I have built myself from the inside out, and there is no force in the world that can unmake the foundation of a person who has mastered the power of ignored skills. This is the secret that legends, visionaries, and quiet warriors have always known. The path to greatness is invisible, the work is silent, the results are profound, and the life built from ignored skills is unshakable, extraordinary, and eternal. If this audiobook or video has inspired you, subscribe to my channel for more motivational storytelling, like this video to honor the quiet power within, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Comment below, which ignored skill will you master first, and how will it transform your life? Let's create a community of people dedicated to silent mastery and lasting success.